And for those of us who are not addicts, I say it keeps us from falling into the ego trance, the separate self trance of we're a separate. I'm John and I have my issues and blah blah blah. I am that, but I'm something much deeper than that also. And for the addict, I would say it keeps you from falling back into the addictive trance, where the compulsions begin to take over and
wonderful.
You start.
That's wonderfully important and kind of clarifying. And maybe let's pick up from what John is saying and try and kind of blur the distinction somewhat between the addict and the non-addict. You know, one of the things that John said was that for the experience of the addict, if I can reflect back, right, your very life depends on it. And I just want to share with you a beautiful teaching. It's actually from an 11th century master about the nature of prayer. Right, the nature of prayer, that second person calling out to the divine force, right, both within, arousing the divine force within, and calling to the divine force beyond. Right, a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's heaven for him. Right, that experience of prayer in biblical consciousness is mandated always by what's called Eitzah, right, in the Bible, meaning crisis, radical crisis. So there's a discussion between the masters about when one is actually called or even obligated to pray. Prayer is not an option, it's an absolute radical obligation. So it's a radical obligation, says one teacher, right, when there's an actual crisis in the world. Something, there's a war, there's a famine. And the second teacher, Maimonides, says, no, you're actually obligated to pray every day. And the deep reading is, because if you actually understand the nature of your reality, if you actually grasp your true nature, you understand that the crisis is real at every moment. And that actually, the experience of the addict is only to reveal the emptiness and the vacuity and the absurdity of living a surface existence. But the non-addict still has the luxury of the illusion. The non-addict, paradoxically, hasn't been blessed with the gift of addiction, hasn't been disillusioned. And so the non-addict can actually afford to believe that doing the practice is an option, and is a luxury. The non-addict doesn't yet have the wisdom to know that his or her very life depends on it. And so the teachings that we're unpacking here, right, for addiction, right, the addict here becomes in our society the teacher.